Right now, I want to get to Kobe Bryant. He retired after a 20-year career and 5 NBA titles, and he wrote a letter, very interesting, to his younger self. If you didn't see this, he posted it in the Players Tribune. Here's a part of what he wrote. Quote, when your Laker dream comes true, you need to figure out a way to invest in the future of your family and friends. This sounds simple, and you may think it's a no-brainer, but take some time to think on it further. Purely giving material things to your siblings and friends may appear to be the right decision. You love them. They were always there for you growing up, so it's only right that they should share in your success, and that all comes with it. So you buy them a car, a big house, pay all their bills. You want them to live a beautiful, comfortable life, right? But the day will come when you realize that as much as you believed you were doing the right thing, you were actually holding them back. Anita, do you like, love, or hate that Kobe did this?
I like it. I like it a lot, and kudos to the Players Tribune, by the way. I mean, we're getting some really great material.
We are honest, authentic pieces
from the Players Tribune, but I like it. I will say this, though. I like that he used the word invest instead of give. I think there are a number of athletes, I've covered them, I'm sure you ladies have covered them as well, that immediately, as soon as they get their pro job, as soon as they get that big payday, just family and friends come out of the woodwork, and everybody wants that money. They want that cheese. They want those Benjamins, right?
Yep.
And I think it's hard. I think it's difficult sometimes for professional athletes to say no. And obviously it was for Kobe Bryant, and now he's sharing his experience. So those that are now coming into the NBA that are going to experience the same thing he did, kind of give them a little advice. Invest, don't give. I like it. I like it a lot. My only thing is, I think it's a lot harder to do than say. I think that's very, very difficult for athletes to do that, especially if you've got friends that you've been friends with for a very long time, family members that are struggling. I think it's very difficult to say no to family. It's very difficult for me to say no to family all the time. So I think it's a lot more difficult to do.
I still think that he's brave, very brave. I can't say I like it or love it or hate it. I just have to say it hurts.
Well, you have to give us one. This is the game, Mama. Come on.
I have to say I like it, but it hurts. It hurts in so many ways. It had to take a lot of courage to sit, and he had to dig really deep and find out exactly how he felt about everything that he had given. And mind you, we're raised to give without expecting anything in return. We're expected to give as far as we can. We're expected to give and probably never stop giving. And he one time decided, I'm not gonna give anymore. This is as far as I'm gonna go. That had to be tough. And in order to put that in writing and make it public, and we all know what happened with his parents, you know, it was public. That's not easy. It's not easy to be living in a fishbowl, your private life being exposed all the time, and not only that, understanding that he came to a point where he said, enough is enough, I've made a mistake, and I applaud him because that courage of putting everything in writing is going to help those kids. How many rookies, like you said, find themselves even broke by the time they're done?
Yes.
In the first year, they have no money. It's gone. Why? Because they don't know when to say, this is as far as I go.
And a lot of hanger-ons.
Yes. Yeah. So, congratulations, but it pains me. I feel his pain. I can see the words saying, dude, this was tough, and I understand that it's going to be tough, but you got to do it for you, and you got to do it for them. As an older child with younger siblings, I understand that, and it's never easy. I totally echo that sentiment, but it also takes a courage and one of those aha moments to say, I'm not doing you any favors.
I'm going to be the dissonant voice here, and I know it's coming. Love the message, hate the letter. With all due respect to the Players Tribune, why, and very specific why. For me, this is not the way. Financial trouble is something that people who come from inner cities and who come from everywhere go through. It isn't exclusive to very wealthy athletes. Ryan Howard went through the same thing. Many other players have gone through the same thing. And I think that the means to really address this is maybe, and I'll make it personal. You know, I come from a country that is broke. I'm Puerto Rican. We all know what's going on with the Puerto Rican government. Thank you very much. Love it.
La Isla love it. I was just there over Christmas. Love it.
But I grew up in a country that they didn't teach you financial responsibility or fiscal responsibility.
But who does, really?
No, but the point is that you need to learn this. In the United States, they actually do.
Oh,
you know what? I know all these kids right now who are in high school, you know, maybe it's generational, who are taking financial classes of financial responsibility. So the point is that that's the way that maybe Kobe should have done it. The way that, you know what, let's invest in a program in their cities to teach people how to manage their money better, because it isn't a problem of millionaires.
Yeah, but is that going to get the message to the players?
But I don't think I think a letter in the Players Tribune is going to do it. I actually don't.
See, I disagree with you. I think players love the Players Tribune. I think they read it probably more than anything else.
I respect that. I think that it can be a little disingenuous to speak that way. That's just my
Here's
opinion.
what I think I'm taking away from this, what you guys are going back and forth, is you're saying that Kobe speaking to other athletes, and obviously, as you brought up, regardless of how many millions of dollars, a lot of athletes end up losing a lot of their money. And this goes back to that old saying, give a man a fish, feed him for a day.
Exactly.
Feed him to a fish, investing in his future. But I think what you're saying here, which is you're bringing up an interesting point, is that there's such a bigger issue.
Yes.
And that you'd rather it trickle down more into the communities rather than just speaking to athletes. But speaking to athletes specifically, I love that he did this, because I think this is a way that he can share with all the young athletes out there. And one of the things he spoke about in the ESPYs is how he wants to inspire this younger generation of athletes. And basically, he's probably looking at, you know, in a way, I did a disservice to my family members. It's one thing if I'm investing in their education or certain things to set them up where they can then have their own careers and take care of themselves, but just giving handouts doesn't necessarily do anything. But I think it's really interesting, your point, in terms of creating the programs and certain things and taking that a step further. But to reach athletes specifically, and him just working on inspiring that, I think he does that with this letter.
Side note as well, I kind of dig what LeBron James did. I mean, look, he took an entourage and he put them to work. Maverick and all those dudes, they went to, right?
Finally,
Oscar De La Hoya did exactly the same thing.
It was all his guys.
It's all his guys. It's all his guys.
And what Adam Sandler did in the movies, right? He hired all his friends.
No, but it really, that's
Ben
my
Affleck
point.
does
It
that
is
too.
really impressive to think that he did this, and look how successful these guys are.
Very.
And in terms of running an agency
I think it's
now.
wonderful that you encourage, and I, like I said, love the message.
Yeah.
I just don't think that a
The
letter
way.
on the Players Tribune is the way. And now, I have all due respect for the Players Tribune. I mean, it did bother me in the beginning because I was a Yankees beat writer for 5 years, and when someone tells me I was never asked a good question, it bothers me, you know, which is the premise
that
of the
came
Players
out
Tribune.
in the Players Tribune.
No, it's just, you know, it's one of the lines of when Jeter, you know, took this on. But I do think it's a great way of the audience connecting directly with the athlete.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful, but I just don't think this is going to solve anything.
No,
that's my point. It won't solve it.
I really think that somebody like Kobe Bryant has serious influence into all these new kids that are coming. And
But a letter, Claudia.
yeah, but it's better than
But it's a
nothing.
message.
How many more
There's
players do
so
we have
many
to
other things he could have done instead of just a letter that
but
gets
you know what?
online.
If my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bicycle, and that's not going to happen either. We've got to start somewhere. The truth is, how many players?
But why not start in something that is way more meaningful? Like, you know what? Talk to those athletes. Talk to the new recruiting class. Go.
But I think it's where do you
necessarily
necessarily reach them? And everybody's following him, and he's such an icon in the sport. So some of these young rookies coming up, everyone loves Kobe. It's Kobe. Like, you know, Kobe's another level.
I love Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe speaks, we all listen. So I think, and he has been so successful beyond the NBA as well. And I think they're going to look at this and say, you know what? All right, now when I sit down with my financial planner, how am I going to invest in my money? What do I buy a house? Do I do this? Okay, so maybe I get everybody educated and maybe and look at it differently. I think it's going to make everyone think.
The problem that I have with this is that I feel, and this is just my opinion, respectfully, that when they read this, the people who have these problems, which are not exclusive, Anita mentioned her own personal experience. Claudia did. I did too, right? When you come from an immigrant family and you have success, you have the same problems. The problem is that I see people reading this who admire and love Kobe, including myself, and I look at it and I go, millionaire problems. That's what I said to myself.
Hashtag
millionaire
champagne problem.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
champagne problems.
that's what it is for me.
I will say this, though, in regard, because I know we've kind of incorporated the Players Tribune in this. In talking to athletes, you know, it's hard for them to trust us.
Of course.
I mean,
we're the enemy.
Well,
we walk into our locker room.
People are just looking for a story.
Okay?
And we're going to dish it.
I feel that my success has been really heavily because of the trust that I have gotten in and around the NFL with players, and they do come to me and they do talk to me on and off the record, and
that's how it happens with
you,
Major League Baseball. Absolutely.
So it's really hard to get an athlete to trust a media person. And what they like about the Players Tribune, and because Derek Jeter is so well respected and his name is on it, is that it's a safe place for them.
But the problem that I had was attacking the media.
And have a voice.
You know, the problem that I have with it is that you were attacking baseball writers who are very hardworking, who did their job, who didn't, you know, so don't say that we didn't do a job well. Maybe you didn't enjoy your relationship with the media, or maybe it's not the right way for you. There was no filter, right? Their point is there's no filter. But there is a balance. You can actually have that platform and at the same time not attack the media. It could be a balance.
Okay. But going back to the Kobe letter, I honestly think that his idea was, okay, I have this opportunity. If I were to be talking to myself at 17, I would pretty much never write that, because God forbid my mom will find out. But really, so I applaud that. And the fact that he did take that risk and the fact that he did put it in writing, it's going to be
risk.
It's in terms of hurting his family, though.
No.
You're going to hurt. There's people that he's speaking to, right?
And
he gave that money too.
Yes, he did. And he's exposing himself. I don't care how you slice it. Nobody likes, none of us here like to put our lives on the line.
Put yourself out there. And he's very private.
Keep in mind, Kobe's career has been somewhat of a roller coaster ride.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And he said,
personal and
professional. And professionally, especially when he first came into the league and, you know, just could not gel with that team. But he said that there's more to come. And I'll be honest with you, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to more insight from Kobe Bryant on the Players Tribune. I really am. And
I have to say that I expected better from him because he is so well respected, because he is such a voice. Granted that it's a drop in the bucket. That's what I think about it. And I just think that Kobe Bryant, with his social responsibility and how committed he has been, not only helping to the inner city in Philadelphia, but in many other places, including in LA, he could have done better. That's what I think he could have done better.
But hopefully he's watching, and hopefully
he might
he's taking
listen,
your message.
And now, with that being said,
tú puedes, Kobe, tú puedes.
Okay. Por tu postura gallina. Yes. But the truth is, let's go back. Who is more influential than Michael Jordan? I don't see him doing that.
Well, maybe he doesn't agree with it. I mean, I don't know. But maybe he doesn't agree with it.
I can't speak to his philanthropy work. I'm honestly unaware of it. I don't know.
But I have never heard of him speaking, writing things down, and saying, for all you guys coming into the NBA, these are my words of advice. And God knows, he knows about success. And he knows how to, he's gone through tragedy very publicly. He's gone through another roller coaster.
Absolutely.
I mean, NBA-wise, it does not get any better. But personally, he had to deal with a whole lot.
But sometimes it's hard for an athlete to embrace that role.
Exactly.
Sure that, Anita, you've seen it in the NFL so many times, right? Like these great people that people look up to. Maybe they don't embrace that role as a leader, you know, as an advice giver as well.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, a lot of times, like, you know, you're in a locker room, and again, since I've covered the Giants now for 7 years, someone meets me, what do you do? I'm part of the Giants broadcast team. Oh, what's the deal with Eli Manning? Well, what
and you're going like,
what do you mean? What is the deal? He's a really, I mean, he's like Tom Coughlin said at his exit interview, his exit press conference, when he resigned, whatever, from the Giants. Like, Eli, this isn't your fault. Like, you're the guy that every man would want as a son. Eli Manning is a phenomenal human being, but he just, you know, he doesn't have that. He's not a cheerleader.
Right?
He's not in the locker room.
He doesn't have the personality.
He doesn't have that personality.
He has the work ethic, but he doesn't have the personality.
Doesn't make it wrong. He's just different.
From the other side, if you look at David Ortiz, if you look at Carlos Beltran, who embraced that role, who believe, you know, every time that you go to an opposing team clubhouse, sometimes just right outside, you'll see Beltran talking to the rookies from the other team. You'll see David Ortiz doing it. There's a lot of players, and I don't want to just single out them too. There's a lot of veterans at MLB that embrace it, but there's others that don't. That it was uncomfortable for them. There's superstars that don't. So I think that's kind of interesting how Kobe felt so
different. Everybody's personality, and at least it's a step in saying he's looking out for these young rookies, and hopefully they can learn from his mistakes, paying it forward. He said on the ESPYs that his next step is he wants to inspire the next generation of athletes, and I think you brought up a good point, potentially of taking it a step further into the communities, not just the athletes.
Well, it's millennials. It's going to be a tall task.
Ooh, I'm one of them, barely. I get it, barely. I'm hanging on.
My Twitter feed.
But let's leave that one here.
Coming after me.
When we come back, Lou Holtz had very controversial comments regarding immigrants, specifically the Hispanic community. We will share those with you and react when we return here on First Take. Just getting started with the ladies.